Hello everyone and welcome to my Portugal adventure, starting out with pre-port meeting in the Union the night before arrival. The next morning we pulled into port about 8 a.m.
I wish you a wonderful stay in Portugal, Captain Young from the bridge.
Woo! My roommate Sunny and I got ready together, and then I walked up to deck 9 to have breakfast at Lido. The weather was absolutely beautiful, so after gathering a plate of food from the buffet, I sat outside on the back deck with some friends and gazed upon our beautiful view of Lisbon. After breakfast, I walked over to the Union to meet with my field program group for the day for the program called Exploring Tagus River by Boat. After departing the ship, we took about a 15-minute walk over to the quay and met our tour guides, where we had a safety briefing, put on our life jackets, and then boarded the boat. We had such a fun, exhilarating speedboat ride down the river between different sites that we would stop and visit while our tour guide gave us some information about each of the landmarks. These landmarks included the Alfama neighborhood, Dom Fernando II and Gloria Frigate, Christ the King statue, the Bellum Tower, the Monument to Discoveries, the Museum of Art, Architecture and Technology, the 25th of April Bridge, and the Commerce Square, which we could all see from the boat. Following the tour, we walked back to the ship and had some lunch up at Lido, outside on the deck, which was just beautiful. Then my friends and I walked around the Alfama neighborhood, where we were looking for a musician to interview for my friend Catherine and I's class project for Exploring World Music, and we came across a singer at a restaurant who had such a beautiful voice. Here is her.
And now I am king.
She was so kind, sat down with us and let us interview her a bit about her music.
Sunny's going on a little dinner date.
I'm going on a dinner date. And I don't know what shoes to do because I haven't painted my toenails.
But we can. There's time.
But we can't. There is a little time. I'm looking an hour late, but it's fine. And then, guys, we only packed Nike socks. So if you're ever coming on semester at sea, bring cute socks, because you never know.
You never know when you'll get asked out.
I did not think I would.
Look at her! Look at this woman! Oh, she's so
nervous.
beautiful.
Here's the other issue. In these loafers, like, they're very cute, but every time I walk, like, it's kind of uncomfortable. And in Lisbon, you're going to be doing a lot of walking.
Update, she packed the other shoes and socks in case she needs to change. We are sending her off. Look at her.
That evening, I had dinner with friends on the ship. Afterwards, I decided to sit outside, call back home to friends and family, then call it a night. The next morning, I woke up bright and early for sunrise, which was so beautiful out the window, had some breakfast, and met my field program group for the day in the Union. This field program was called Lisbon and the Age of Discoveries. I actually was not originally signed up for this field program. It was gifted to me by a friend that I had met on my field program the day before, who double booked themselves and graciously donated this program to me. And I was so grateful to accept it and go on the adventure, meet new friends, and see beautiful sights. After meeting up with everyone in the Union and departing from the port, we boarded onto a bus and traveled to the Bellum area. Shown here is the Bellum Tower, where we took lots of great pictures before moving on to the Monument to the Discoveries, which you probably saw in some footage from the day before. However, this time we got to see it from land instead of water. Next, we explored inside of the Maritime Museum, which, according to this field program's itinerary, is considered one of the most important in Europe. I would absolutely recommend taking some type of bus tour or walking tour when you come to Lisbon, if you are able, just to see all of the different landmarks and sites that are so full of rich history, and you will learn so much. After walking through the museum, we headed right next door to the Jeronimos Monastery for a quick photo stop, then walked back to the bus to try some pastel de nata.
Do you like it?
It's fantastic.
Let's try it out.
Oh yeah. Really good.
Pastel de nata is a Portuguese egg custard tart pastry, and I most definitely want to learn how to make these back at home because they are so good. When we got back to the ship, I hung out for a little while, then got ready to go to dinner with some friends of mine out in Lisbon. We walked around and found this Italian restaurant, which was so delicious. I had the best calzone of my life. Next, we went to Time Out Market for some gelato, then walked around the city where there were all these people dancing in the street, which was so special. Then we sat by the water for a little while. On our walk back to the ship, we came across this guy who did incredible sand sculptures. Then, as we were going by the Commerce Square, we decided we had to walk around in it a little bit closer to take some pictures and videos. When I got back on the ship, I played the piano for a little while in Lido Terrace, then went to bed. The next day, my friends and I took a trip to Portimao, which is in the south of Portugal. So we departed from the port, took a taxi over to the bus station, and boarded the bus. It was such a great ride. We met some other girls that were taking a vacation in Portugal, and it was fun to just get to know people. When we arrived in Portimao, we found a delicious lunch spot with lots of different options, and they had Wi-Fi that we all connected to, and did some research on TripAdvisor for a tour that we booked for that evening. After we checked into the Airbnb, we walked on down to the beach, which was so beautiful. We each took a dip in, and then I personally took a nap while tanning. It was such beautiful weather, truly a perfect beach day, and I was so grateful just to have time to get to know these girls. Fun fact, we literally had just met 2 days before at Bible study on the ship, and they asked me if I would like to join them in Portimao on this trip, and I excitedly accepted, though not knowing them super well, and so grateful that I did, and grateful to them for inviting me because I now call these girls dear friends, and I just had the best time in Portugal with them. I would totally recommend branching out and traveling with different people if you are able when coming on semester at sea, as it just expands your relationships, friendships, and overall experience. The beautiful sights you are looking at now are a part of our Benagil Sea Caves tour that we booked through TripAdvisor. It was beautiful, as you can see for yourself on the screen, although the pictures and videos will never do justice. We took this boat ride all around the various rocks and caves while our tour guide gave us some information about each of them. So many people were waiting atop the cliffs for sunset, and others were jumping off, having a good time. It was so fun to be able to kind of go in and out of the caves, and every time we came out, the sunset just kept changing and looking more and more beautiful as time went on.
It's so dark in here. It's giving Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean. Portugal edition.
That was one of my favorite caves that we got to see when it was just pitch black. Going inside was kind of spooky, kind of fun. This one here is also really cool with the 2 holes in the top. This next cave is one of the more popular ones. If you have a Windows computer, you might have seen it as a default screensaver. We then made our way back to shore with such beautiful views of sunset, even the moon peeking back out behind us. Kat, Anna, and I took this tour while Allison and Kylan stayed at the beach for a while. So once we got back to shore, we walked to meet them for dinner at this delicious Italian restaurant. We got some pizza, salad, pasta. I got a virgin margarita. Then afterwards, we picked up some delicious gelato before going back to the Airbnb and settling in for the night.
Guys, we had so much fun today.
Good day.
The next morning, we woke up and walked over to the bus station. I had my leftover pizza for breakfast, and we took the ride on back. It was a pretty smooth ride. This was with a different bus company, so we took a few more stops than the last bus did, but we got back in great time, and then I went out to dinner with a friend of mine. Following dinner, we walked back. I called some family and watched Sweet Life on Deck.
Kayaking!
You heard it from the boys. The next day, I went kayaking on a field program called Kayaking in the Footpath of the Knights Templar. After departing from the port, we traveled by bus to Constancia and started our kayaking journey to Almoral Castle.
What's up, Slog? Go Sass!
Field programs are such a great way to meet other sassers as well. Field programs are excursions in each port that are run by Semester at Sea, so they do all the planning for you and you just sign up and pay for them ahead of time after scrolling through and picking out which programs have the most fascinating itinerary for you. If you don't sign up for field programs ahead of time, there are many days where they'll have extra spots on the day programs and they will either do day of sail or donations from no-shows or people that can't make their programs for various reasons. Once we made it to the castle, we had an opportunity to explore inside and out. Outside of the castle, the boys found this fruit, so they cut it open and decided to try it. They said it was pretty good, but had a bunch of seeds that were hard to chew through. Next, it was time for lunch at a local restaurant.
Happy birthday to you!
After lunch, we got back on the bus and traveled to Tamar to explore the Tamar Castle and the Convent of Christ, which according to our itinerary is headquarters for the religious and military orders of the Temple and of Christ. Our tour guide took us around to these different areas, sharing some knowledge about the details, architecture, and their significance. We wore these little earpieces where we could hear our tour guide that spoke into a microphone, and we were able to wander a little bit on our own around the different spaces, which made it really nice so we weren't crowding together too much. Towards the end of the tour, we said goodbye to our guide, boarded back onto the bus, and traveled back to the ship where we had dinner and celebrated Avril's birthday with some cake.
Happy birthday, Avril!
After dinner, I pretty much settled in for the night until the next morning. I waited in the standby line for a couple of field programs to see if there would be any no-shows, but I did not have any luck, but that was okay and worth a try. So instead, I walked to get some pasta donata and ran into some friends, so we had some lunch together at an Italian restaurant.
Y'all, I'm so embarrassed. Okay, long story short, there's this long window and it looked like a door. And I walk straight into the window. And the waiters and these people at their table are like, "Are you okay?" Like, looking at me like I'm crazy. I mean, I would too, I guess. It was just so embarrassing. I was like, "Oh, I totally thought that was the door." And most of them don't even speak English. It's fine.
Everyone had to be back on the ship by 4 p.m., so I walked back to the cruise terminal, soaked up some Wi-Fi while I still could in that building, and then walked back on the ship around 3:30. I then went to the gym to take a little walk on the treadmill after a carb-filled meal at the Italian restaurant. Then everyone gathered outside to watch us depart from Lisbon and wave goodbye to it. The captain always plays music as we sail away, and it's just a fun time to talk about memories, come together, and get excited for the next port, which in this case we had a 2-day sea stretch to Casablanca, Morocco, where I would be going on another incredible adventure. So I will see you in the next video in Morocco. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm so grateful to be sharing my journey with you.